Manifesting. How to cultivate inner peace, release self-doubt, and manifest abundance with emotional intelligence, law of attraction, and powerful affirmation. Written by Garry Hudson. Narrated by Damien Brunetto.
Awareness. Most people have a wrong idea of awareness. They think that merely knowing they exist is the same thing as being aware. It's not. Being aware is more than that, and it takes practice and experience, especially since most of us are totally unclear as to what it feels like to be aware of ourselves. One of the greatest things about being human is the ability for us to be aware of our existence and to be aware of questions that we do not have the answer to. That is the beginning of all learning. We are able to realize that there are some things we do not know. And in fact, the smarter you are, the more you realize that there is a lot more you do not know. Only a fool goes down the path thinking that they know everything. But there is a difference between those who are aware and those who are not. There is the limit to awareness that you need to be aware of, and exceed that limit by invoking other areas of your existence. For instance, you can only be consciously aware of a number of areas in this universe. But beyond that, it doesn't work. The parallel to this is the five senses. If you were to think that all there is to know in the universe is the extent of what you can detect with your five senses, then you are going to miss out on all of the truths that are out there. For instance, you would be oblivious to infrared, and thereby not clear as to how the remote control works. For all you know, it's some form of dark magic. But since you are more consciously aware of something called infrared, a wave of frequency that is beyond any of your senses to detect, you are now able to know that it is not black magic, but one of the electromagnetic frequencies of the universe. In the same way, this applies to physical items. There are things that do not apply. In the early days of science, scientists were expounding as fact that space was a void. We all grew up with the notion that the darkness of space contains a vacuum, and there was absolutely nothing in it. Only much later did we realize that there are other forms of energy and matter that are in space. We are just not able to detect and make sense of it. Conscious awareness. Conscious awareness is very different from mindful awareness. Conscious awareness and mindful awareness can intersect, and we can choose to live our lives in this intersection. But before that, we do need to understand the difference and the way each is used. Conscious awareness is when you understand entirely what something is, and you are aware of its existence so much so that when any of your senses pick it up, you know what it is and where it comes from and how it affects you. Take, for instance, the smell of smoke from a fire. If you were to sense it, you will instantly be aware of it. You may also be triggered to realize that there is impending danger. This is conscious awareness. You know exactly what something is, and you know when it presents itself. Mindful awareness. On the other hand, there is mindful awareness. Mindful awareness is one where you do not necessarily need your senses to detect it. You are in a state that you know what is happening at a level that is beyond your consciousness. Sometimes this is thought to be the subconscious. There's nothing wrong with that, but remember that mindful awareness is about you being able to know and understand your immediate space and time deeply. By practicing mindful awareness, what you end up doing is keeping tabs of what is constantly going on with you, in you, around you, and within you. But what you are not concerned with is the past or what happens next. Your only concern is to be able to be in the moment. The funny thing about the moment is that it is the quality of the moment that yields a better result, not the multitasking moment that you think can be more productive. It is not productive at all to do multiple things at once, and in fact, it is counterproductive. Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore writes in one of his poems, "The butterfly counts not months, but moments, and has time enough. Time is a wealth of change, but the clock in its parity makes it of mere change and no wealth." He articulately tells us that the life of a butterfly is short in comparison, but yet it has time enough to understand life and live its entire lifetime in that span. Being aware in our own life makes us like that butterfly. Aware we are able to live a lifetime in a moment even though we are not concerned with the past or the future, only the present. That sort of awareness may seem illogical, but it is proven time and again that if you arm yourself with that kind of awareness, you will be able to move mountains and rivers to your desire. He also says that time is a wealth of change, and that change and how much of it we can structure is the measure of our wealth. Not one of these can be merely done by our hands with mindless motion, or done at the instruction of a mind that is not inspired by the soul. True success cannot come about from these menial steps. True success comes from the inspiration that instructs the mind, and the mind that converts it into physical action by the hand. Awareness is a simple enough measure to do. The thing is, as you practice mindfulness and reach your awareness, you will be able to know where you are and what to ask for so that your next step can be in the right direction. The more you can be aware, the more you will be able to accomplish in that moment of time. Just like the butterfly that has only a short time, but has enough moments, you have to realize that success is a function of how effective you are at bringing the three resources that you have at your disposal. Your soul, your mind, and your body are the three resources that, when you combine them, can make wonders. It can send men to the moon and other planets. It can make devices that harvest the sun's energy for conversion to other devices. It can do almost anything. The key to all this is your state of awareness and the alignment of the three resources. The idea of asking for something is for you to be able to align your three resources. When you do not ask, you are not aligning it as you should. Your soul may be going in one direction, your body may be going in another, and your mind might be trying to figure out the next step. When all three forces are pointing in opposing directions, your net movement is either very slow and indeterminate or completely stagnant. By asking, you align and make all parts aware of one true intention. The key, then, is to iron out what that true intention should be. If that true intention is earthly in nature, then the outcome would be suboptimal. We use the term earthly to describe the desires of the body. To live, to have a family, and to enjoy the fruits of the labor you have put in. These can get out of hand very quickly. The idea, while seeming to be to abstain from all sorts of fun, is not really the point. However, the way to do it is to be aware of how much fun you are having and to curtail it the moment it starts to distract from your united purpose. That is the power of awareness. If you can then take that mindful awareness and conjoin it to the conscious awareness, then what you have is a powerful communication of purpose and abilities. You can't do much with just the desires of the soul, and you can't do much with just the desires of the body. But once you combine them, things start to happen for you. Awareness is the key to understanding where you are and to keep you in line with the moment that makes you whole. Wholeness is about the joining of your mind, body, and soul. That is the power to succeed. When you keep this in balance, you feed all three. You feed the soul with meditation. You feed the mind with intellect, and you feed the body with health. What you end up having is an unstoppable force that will deliver success time and again, without any cause for doubt that you will ever miss a beat. Action comes from the body, and from the direction of the mind. Action is the penultimate in the journey. It takes you from inspiration to reality. Each fruit of your action is the end of the journey that you gain in making what inspiration gave you in the beginning. What we are most addicted to in terms of the body is action. We are so caught up with movement that you need to realize that sometimes you land up moving without making any movement. In this case, what we are talking about is the movement that is without direction. The movement without direction and the thought without inspiration is a waste of energy. It is a distraction and will not get you anything for your troubles. To advance, you need your action to be instinctive and well thought out. The part of you that needs to think about the consequences of your action and keep you moving is that part of you that needs to be driven by the understanding of purpose and the understanding of your limitations. So, when you ask, you start by asking for the identification of those limitations and the rectification of those limitations. Your limitations are not really limitations if you know how to manage them. Limitations are merely misplaced strengths. You must need to know where to put them in order to extract the best value from them. Think of it this way. Have you ever played with a jigsaw puzzle as a child? I have. I used to enjoy putting together 1,000-piece puzzles as a kid, and then on to 5,000-piece puzzles. Watching the picture take shape was such a thrill for me. Life is like that. Everything that you have in you is like a piece of the puzzle in the box. If you take a piece and try to fit it in the wrong place, it's not the piece that is a weakness. It's just that the piece is in the wrong place. In the same way, if you have a weakness, then you are just misplacing your strengths. When you are aware of yourself and your soul, then you will spend less time trying to put the wrong pieces in the right place. You will be able to align the pieces in such a way that they fall into place, and you would be able to achieve your greatness with less frustration and pain. That is about all there is to get it right. Any time you get something wrong, just put the pieces back in the box and find the part of you that goes in the right place. That's all there is to it. Advancing your life is about taking advantage of all your resources and putting them together so that you are able to move the inspiration you have from the depths of your soul and make them appear in front of you. The next step for you to do is understand that asking aligns all those that you need, and when you are aligned, you can make magic. Imagination. Just to be clear, imagination is not about fantasy or daydreaming. Imagination is the conscious ability to combine things you know in your head to make things that don't exist in reality. Imagination is one way you can move forward to change the world you live in, as long as your body is willing to convert that imagination into action and something tangible. But there is one more aspect that is more productive, and that is inspiration. Inspiration. Inspiration is the vision that the universe gives to you when your mind is clear. You can see it. In fact, your desires come from here as well. You just need to accept it, work at it, and learn to receive it. The more you meditate, the more you will be inspired. The more you keep your thoughts clear and your soul at peace, the more inspiration you will receive. Inspiration will change your life's trajectory. Chapter 3. Gratefulness. I was raised to be grateful for the things I receive. What I didn't know back then was that being grateful is not a backward-looking event. You are not generating the feel of gratitude for an event that has passed. You are generating that feeling of gratitude so that you get more in the future. Gratitude is a way of vibrating to the universe that you see value in its gift and that you got exactly what you asked for. Imagine if you are given a gift and you were not grateful. It's not that you hurt the universe's feelings. It's that the universe believes that the gift you received has no use in your life, and so it stops giving it to you. We will look at the ways to vibrate with gratitude in this chapter and expand your blessings more than you can imagine. We all receive blessings as part of our life and as part of our living. Blessings need not take on a religious form, but can stand to describe the flow of abundance through each living soul. We seem to be in awe of all the things that could possibly come our way because we have forgotten that this abundance is actually our right. It is the norm, not the exception. It is a part of who we are and where we are in the hierarchy of the universe. These blessings come to us in many forms. All the forms that these blessings arrive in front of us can be categorized into two: blessings and curses. Yes, that's right. It's not a typo. As much as a curse seems to be the antithesis of a blessing, both are nonetheless two sides of the same coin. But this coin is rather different. In a normal sense, when we look at a coin, the coin either presents itself in one of two ways, and on one of those two ways only. You are either presented with the coin heads up or heads down. And if you keep track of every time you are given a coin throughout the course of your life, you will find that exactly 50% of the time they will be one way, and the remaining 50% of the time they will be the other. Yes, probability and statistics are not just for the geeks in school. That coin that has a blessing on one side and the curse on the other is called the coin of opportunity, and it is the currency of the universe. Whenever the universe wants to give you something, it gives you the coin, and it is up to you to make what you will from it. If you're highly observant and intently focused, the coin is all you need to make all you can from the abundance of this universe. What we see as an opportunity in this day and age is limited, unfortunately, to things that come to us packaged in pretty ribbons, and anything else we relegate it to the realms of being a curse. Then, of course, there are those which truly are dark curses that we all feel we are so much better without. But none of that is true. The darker the curse, the better its benefit if we are able to get over it, because these so-called curses change us at the cellular level and make us better for the next level of the challenge. There is no such thing as a bad curse. They are all just highly inconvenient and lay assault to our sense of security and our sense of entitlement. Just because we are good people, we expect good things to come to us. It doesn't matter. You do not need to be a good person in order to receive blessings. You just need to see it for what it is. And therein lies the problem. We are so used to seeing things in terms of our own laziness that we end up classifying a perfectly good opportunity as bad just because it comes to us with the cursed side facing up. Or we get the blessed side facing up, and we get so many of it that we take it for granted, and we slowly begin to come to the opinion that it is not as good as we had hoped it to be, or as good as we deserve. Thus, the notion of entitlement. In the language of the universe, the two states of being, the state of being grateful, the continuance of taking something for granted, are a language in and of itself. When you are grateful for something, then you are telling the universe that you would like more of what you have been given. Now, do not confuse that to mean that you will be given the same thing. Remember, the universe deals in one currency, and it does so in abundance. This is the currency of opportunity, and that opportunity, as we have mentioned earlier in the chapter, has two sides to it: blessing and curse. Once you are in receipt of that coin of opportunity, you still need to set out to work and make something of that coin. There is no home delivery service. You need to take that coin and go out into the world to make something of it. When you are grateful, you're being grateful for that coin. When you show ingratitude, you are blocking that coin, and slowly the spigot is turned off. When it is turned off, there is no coin to be had, and you miss the opportunity to do anything else. When you complain about something, that you automatically forfeit your right to the coin. It will eventually stop. You must understand that complaining about something is not the same as wanting something better. If you have a car that takes you to work, but that car is a little beat up, but it gets you to and from work safely and reliably, that is a blessing. When you want something better, without complaining about what you have in your hand, you will be given the opportunity to get what you want. And you still have to put in the work. A genie isn't going to appear and place the car in front of you and give it to you effort-free. But when you are ungrateful, you will not get any more coins, regardless of how many times and how fervently your lips utter its wish to get it. Taking opportunities for granted. Then there is the state of taking your opportunity for granted. So far, we have differentiated the coin of opportunity as having one side appearing as a blessing and the other side appearing as a curse. Both are opportunities nonetheless, but we tend to shun one and hope only for the other. When we don't take the opportunity that comes disguised as curses, we are, as they say, leaving money on the table. Every hardship, every curse, every difficulty is a blessing that is greater than we can bear. As C.S. Lewis once wrote, hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary journey. He was talking about the coin of opportunity's curse side. How does all this stack up to the act of taking things for granted? When you are given all the blessings in the world, you will, as a human being, tend to take it for granted, just as you take the rising of the sun in the morning, and the stars at night. After some time of receiving blessing after blessing, you take it for granted. Do you know what happens when you take those blessings for granted? Well, your soul has a way of getting blinded to things that you take for granted. It's like taking for granted the kiss of a loved one, or the voice of a child. After getting it for some time, you take it for granted, and you become blind to it. Can you imagine what happens when you become blinded to the many blessings that come to you? Can you imagine the time when you can't see those coins of blessings and cursings coming to you? Now remember, when you get to those coins, you need to go out and make something of it. And so if you can't see it, or if you come to believe that it's not there, then you will also believe that you have nothing to go out and work with. It's like the butcher who doesn't have meat to take to the marketplace. If you have nothing to work with, you will not have the heart nor the muscle to make anything happen. And pretty soon, you descend into despair. On the other hand, consider a stance that is built firmly on not taking things for granted. What typically flows from that well is gratitude and gratefulness. When you spend every moment in the present and appreciate the blessing that comes your way, then what you have in return is the loud and proud voice of gratitude that allows you to take on more coins of opportunity. I hear the church preach how the person with the most difficulties is the one favored by God. Well, that is fairly accurate, but there is one great point that is missed. These difficulties are not what it turns out to be. Those are coins of opportunity, and each time you are given a coin of opportunity, you are given the resources to make things happen. Indeed, the person who is gifted with many challenges is indeed gifted. It is also the same if the person is given a lot of blessings, as those are also opportunities. The difference is that the blessing requires less effort because we are already adapted to it. The curse requires new muscle, the thing that we have to find and cultivate inside of us. That's why it seems like a curse, because it seems hard. Does the muscle burn you get after working out feel like a curse? To those who see things as curses, yes, it does. But if you really wait for it, that seeming curse results in the blessing of greater strength. How we look at those coins is an important part in making something of all the blessings we receive. Not taking it for granted is the first step. There is one proviso that has to be made at this point. Blessings are not the same as consequences or repercussions. When something you do comes back as a consequence, that is not pleasant. That is not the coin of opportunity. That is a lesson that we need to learn from so that we don't make the same mistake again. If you keep making mistakes, you will keep receiving lessons that may not be pleasant. So do not make the mistake a second time. Chapter 4. Positive Thinking. Positive thinking is positively misunderstood among the majority of the population. Positive thinking is not the cheer you force in the face of something happening. That's denial. Positive thinking is the application of faith during times of effort. When you apply effort to a goal, you think positively to keep yourself from accepting failure. There is a certain wisdom that is required to know when to think positively and when to make changes to your effort. The best way to think positively is to have a positive mindset. Here is how you do that. Positive mindset. Your mindset is the sum of all the thoughts, experiences, assumptions, and beliefs that control how you see things, how you respond to things, and how you manage your life. At its very basic, it is a framework that is responsible for your personality. And at its deepest, it is the comprehensive factor that is responsible for your destiny. Whether you are on top of the world or at the bottom of its pits, the one thing that is responsible for getting you there and keeping you there is your mindset. To change your life, you need to change how you decide, how you prioritize, and how you think. Essentially, this is why you alter your mindset, because all three of those things are rooted in your mindset. In the last chapter, you saw the coin of opportunity. Whether you see it as a blessing or curse depends on how you think. A person with a positive mindset will look at the curse and be grateful for the opportunity. Naysayers and negative people can even look at the blessing and feel pain. Guess who among them will taste victory? A mindset of contribution. The mindset of the successful person is very different from the person who is yet to be successful, but has a misconception of what it should be. Most people wanting to be successful are looking at it from the perspective of the reward. But people who are already successful know this. If you focus on the contribution, the reward will find you, and it will be more than you can imagine. By the way, this is not to say that you are looking to undertake charitable works. Contribution here is a mindset of working towards the betterment of your fellow man. When you start to see your work as your contribution towards your fellow man, something inside you wakes up. Some of the best companies ever built are built upon customer-centric values. If that is not contribution towards the betterment of man, I don't know what is. There is this awesome power within each of us that is triggered by the sense of altruistic contribution. Many people mistake the concept of altruism. They think it goes hand in hand with self-sacrifice. It doesn't. Altruism is an innate quality honed by millions of years of evolution that sits deep within us. It is the seed of all social interaction. When Bill Gates decided to put a computer in every home, he made a great contribution to the world. Have you ever wondered what all that big deal was with social media? It's because deep in us we know that we are connected and that we are here to strive for one another. Whether you are collecting refuse from the curbside or you are performing neurosurgery, you are contributing. That's the mindset you want to take on, and you will unlock a power that is so awesome that you will be able to do more than you ever realized. 4 things you must do to alter your mindset. Compare your values to your actions. This is what determines if your values and your actions are consistent. Human beings are notorious for having one set of values, yet condoning and executing actions that are totally in opposition to those values. For example, some people believe in animal welfare, yet don't adopt or donate to animal shelters. You get the point. Once you have your list, Make an effort to neutralize your actions that run against your values. Understand your reasons. Motivations are hidden sometimes. They require investigation. Hidden does not mean bad. It just means they are not obvious. Your subconscious has detected that something is off, and it has alerted you to it. You now have to find out what that is, and then you can find the necessary steps to overcome it and counter it. Otherwise, you may change your entire being and your beliefs, only to find that something more fundamental in you needed attention. Whatever you do, don't go for the quick fix when you are trying to change your mindset. You can tattoo your skin, you can have implants, you can color your hair, but changing your mindset is a very serious matter. Tread slowly. Expand your individuality. You cannot, must not, mimic or try to mimic someone else's mindset. But what you can do, once you understand your beliefs and goals, is to look at various successful individuals and look at their mindsets. Remember how to observe mindsets? Yes, you look at actions and aggregate those to understand the underlying mindset. If you observe a person long enough, you will begin to understand their mindset. You will see what motivates them and how they go about accomplishing their goals. Somewhere in there, something will resonate. Remember, you are not mimicking. You are looking for something that strikes deep within you. Take, for instance, President Clinton. His meeting with JFK awoke something in him that resonated with him so strongly that his life changed and, despite all odds, rose to the presidency. He didn't mimic JFK. He found his individuality, but he found it by touching someone. You have to do it the same. Find what resonates inside you, and you will find your individuality. Watch what you engage in. This is contentious, to say the least, because it goes against what most people do these days, and that is watching TV or consuming entertainment that is detached from reality. 70% of successful people watch less than 1 hour of TV a day, compared to over 76% of unsuccessful people who watch TV more than 4 hours a day. TV invades your mindset with an alternate reality, and while you are detoxing your mind and aiming for a neutral mindset, this is not the best thing in the world for you. Your mind is a sponge because it records everything and stores it. Remember, not all of it is available to the conscious mind, but all of it is recorded and accessible by the subconscious mind. If you keep feeding it Hollywood's reality, after a while, your subconscious is going to think that that's what it should consider as real, and pretty soon, you will be living in a reality that is constructed on fantasy. Notice how some people can't tell the difference between TV violence and real violence? It happens to all of us, just in different areas. Shun your thoughts about right and wrong. The one thing most great people realize is that there is no such thing as right or wrong. This is not the same as legal or illegal. The two concepts are very different. You obey the law as part of a social contract of living in society. It has nothing to do with right and wrong. Of course, there is overlap, but it doesn't mean they are the same thing. During this stage, you want to get to a point where your mindset is neutral, and this is one of the ways here you look at things as what they are without the burden of right and wrong. By altering your mindset, you will be able to change the way you act, and it also sets up your ability to react better. Chapter 5. Feel it. There are 3 things that go on inside you which are commonly misunderstood. The first is the thoughts you have. The second is the inspirations you receive. And the third is the feeling you get. Your thoughts are generated by the brain or mind. Your inspirations are the vibrations of the universe that you feel deep inside, but are relatively silent. And the feelings you get are just primal instincts that the body generates. You need all three working well and interpreted correctly, because the best gifts you get from the universe come to you in the forms of feelings. But we usually get them wrong because we confuse them with the feelings generated by the louder body. Distinguishing learning from inspiration. Do you meditate? If you don't, then it's time to reevaluate your entire strategy to life and your pursuit of success. As it stands, if you are not meditating, then it is very likely that you are missing many of the parts that will get you the superior outcome for the correspondingly appropriate level of effort. It is also highly likely that if you are not meditating, you are constantly hitting up against a brick wall of failure and having to run two lives. One that is focused on the objective, and the other where you are constantly cleaning up after failures. There are two ways you can succeed in life. Success can be yours either by allowing consequence from failure point you in the right direction, or you can get the answers you need to take the right path and achieve what you need without battling the consequences of your failures. Don't get me wrong, failure is not bad. It is the greatest teacher there is. It is there to beat the secrets of the universe into you, so that when you aim for something, you end up getting it. Feel the universe in meditation. But meditation takes a different tact. Meditation prepares you to receive the whispers of the universe around you so that when you make choices, they are the correct choice. You just know, almost instinctively, what to do in every particular situation. The single most powerful practice a person can undertake is meditation. If you subscribe to the school of thought that meditation is about calmness, zen, and peace, or about prayer, devotion, and spirituality, then there may be a reason for some of you to shy away. But meditating is neither religious nor spiritual. It can be if you wish it, but by itself, it is what it is. One way to view meditation is to equate it with a force that brings harmony to the competing systems of the body and mind, as you saw in the earlier chapters. The will of the body always seems to go in one direction, while the will of the mind always seems to go entirely in the opposite one. Many times we give in to one or the other and feel a sense of remorse that is nothing short of distracting. But the debate between the two can be chaotic and distracting. One of the effects of meditation is that it aligns your competing systems and brings harmony to the chaotic voices. That removes distraction and brings peace to the whole. Have you ever had the chaos of a raging debate between reaching for a cigarette 12 hours after you quit? The battle that goes on is between your body, that craves the nicotine, and your mind, that made the decision to quit cold turkey. Or the debate of wanting to buy the latest sports car. One side of you wants to put you behind the wheel, while the other side is telling you that the right thing to do would be to save the money and instead get something you can afford. Every single person has been in numerous pairings of opposing forces in their life. Sometimes we give in to one force, other times we prevail with the other. Whichever decision we make, the future that stems from that decision is colored with the consequences of that action. Not taking that cigarette puts you on the path to one set of consequences. Breaking your promise to quit puts you on the other path. We've all experienced that. If you look closely at these battles and chaotic arguments, you will begin to see that there is a third actor on that field of battle, a silent umpire of sorts. Some people call it a conscience, others call it the soul. But those words carry with it significant baggage that distracts from this discussion of meditation and success. For now, let's refer to it as our core. However, you first need to identify what we label as the body and what we label as the mind. We get much of our perception of the world from the senses we possess. We see, hear, smell, and so on. On its own, none of that really means anything. On its own, our senses are really just sending electrochemical signals to our brain, and it is our brain that translates what it is and what it means, whether it is sight, sound, or smell. If we have no prior introduction, we would have no idea what we are looking at or what we are selling. We sense non-binary data through association. Binary data is the kind of data that can only be one or its opposite, yes or no, on or off, right or wrong. There are no shades of gray and in-betweens. In the beginning, the central nervous system was only capable of these binary processes. But we evolved, and a few million years later we were able to conjure more complex thoughts and thinking patterns. That thinking pattern even allowed us to be able to produce future events based on present factors. Our brain becomes more powerful as it developed the mind and the mindsets that were built on top of that. We could even turn the observation onto ourselves and learn who we are and what we are about. We could finally turn consciousness back onto itself and ask the questions that elevated our existence. This higher level of thought is nothing short of amazing. But at the back of all that, right down there at the base of the skull, sits the ancient part of our brain, still calling some of the shots when certain circumstances present themselves. One of those hardwired events that result in fear is facing the unknown. Fear is a powerful primary emotion that developed to keep prey alert for its predator. That still sits with us today and can disrupt our entire thought process and the outcomes that follow. However, if you can learn how to tap into your soul, again, there is no religious reference attached to the meaning of the soul, then you can overcome the crippling nature of fear. As we set ourselves up to take a journey across the landscape of this book, you need to understand its final purpose. This book is about making you all that you can possibly be. This book is about returning the power into your hands. It is about energizing you by showing you the source of limitless potential and understanding. It is about reaching and awakening. It is about showing you that there is a teacher within you that you can tap onto. If you can look there and ask, whatever you ask for will come your way. Meditation is not about lighting candles and closing your eyes in a serene and passive way. That is not meditation. Silence is not powerless. In fact, silence is one of the most powerful resources. If you can tap into that, all you ask for, the greatness you envision, the power that you need, are yours for the taking. There are 3 steps to make the path to success. It is this path that you must learn and internalize if you are to truly escalate your abilities and elevate your life from here to greatness in one lifetime. The first step is the development and execution of mindfulness. The second is the development of the discipline required to focus. The final step is the various levels of meditation. Once you can do these steps effortlessly, there is nothing earthly that you cannot accomplish when you set out to do it. Mindfulness. There is a lot of literature on the practice and discipline of mindfulness. And just like there is the unfortunate misunderstanding of what meditation is, there is, even more, misunderstanding of what mindfulness is. You need to know 3 things to be able to use mindfulness as a step to meditation. The first is that mindfulness is about organizing space and time. The second is that mindfulness is about the alignment of your conscious mind with your current space and time. Finally, mindfulness is about expanding your conscious ability, which begins weak and if built up, can enlarge to great power. There are two cosmic phenomena that we will introduce to you so that you can understand the scope of your mindfulness and how it ties in with the entire universe. Space and time are two measures of an environment that spread across the universe. Beyond the boundary of the universe, the dimensions of space and time cease to exist. The energy that defines the expanse of this space and time is what gives rise to matter and all that comes from the existence of matter. Space is beyond what your ruler can measure, and time is more than what your clock measures. We know that Einstein theorized, and physicists have proven since then, that time is an individual phenomena and not standardized across space. It would not make too much sense to delve too deeply into the physics and nuances of time, except to say that we need to look at time as a stream. The analogy of the stream works in a number of ways, but it is not one that you should get carried away with. It holds its purpose here, but beyond this, it can be counterproductive. The reason we look at time as a stream here is that time flows in one direction, and that is important in the quest to remain mindful. Second, time is as wide as a river or as narrow as a stream, and the width of time that you can see depends on how expansive your conscious mind can be. The final reason the river analogy works is that it allows you to see things that happen across space as a passage of time, just as the passage of the river. Mindfulness from space and time. There are millions of things that are going on around us. Imagine if you could have a screen looking at everything going on in the universe today, from the hatching of a fry to the birth of the sun in the distant sector of the universe. That's a large number of data streams, a very wide river. On the other hand, imagine if you just have one screen, and on that screen it shows you your breathing, nothing else, and as far as you can see, the entire universe, to you, is reduced to one act, the movement of air in and out of you. The first resembles an infinitely wide river with large amounts of data. The second represents a very narrow river. If our capability is limited to be able to comprehend and have a handle of just one stream, but you are given a mighty river to handle, your mind crashes. You become overwhelmed and you can't fathom your surroundings. The problem with being overwhelmed is that the moment you do, the circuit breakers in your head break and you can't process your surrounding and whatever is facing you. We know that feeling all too well. The moment you can't understand your environment, a primitive emotion takes over, and that is the emotion of fear. People are built to naturally fear things they do not understand. When you are overwhelmed, you will end up in a state of fear, or in some people, that can even lead to anxiety and panic attacks. By invoking mindfulness, you will be able to decrease the data stream and alleviate the feeling of being overwhelmed. Mindfulness is not just about focusing on one thing at a time, as most people will tell you online. Mindfulness is to focus exactly what your breadth of stream allows. Most people start with just one thing at a time. You can do the same. Then once you have practiced it for some time, you will find that you can indeed multitask, just doing it one thing at a time. The key is that your thoughts and your actions are one. The crucial thing about all this is that the thing you focus on should be in the present. It should never be about the past, and never about the future. And since you can only be in one place at one time, you will automatically focus on the place that you are in at the time you are in. When you do that, the entire breadth of your stream is applied to the moment of time. When you bring your entire mindfulness to bear on one thing, and not forward or backward in time, what you are able to do is look at the one thing in a way that is deeper than just the superficial characteristics of the matter. As you develop your mindfulness, you will find that you are able to penetrate the subject of your attention deeper and gain visceral understanding. The more you practice that, the more you will strengthen, or in this case, widen that stream. When you widen that stream, more of you can be applied to the moment than you did before. This will continue to grow, and you will continue to see things and observe things that you were once not able to. The size of your stream compared to another person's stream is always going to be different. Some people can handle more in their conscious mind in one moment of time than another person can in that same moment. When you practice mindfulness, you start to expand that. It is rather simple to be able to get started with mindfulness. You can do this almost anywhere, doing anything. After all, practicing mindfulness is just about doing and thinking about the same thing at the same time and going deeper into its processes, rather than going wider. But if you insist on being more disciplined about it, then grab a comfortable chair and have a seat. Close your eyes. This is to cut off visual distractions, and direct your attention to the air that enters and exits your nose. Your breath is a natural metronome that allows you to bring chaos back into rhythm. This is a time-honored practice, and you should feel very comfortable doing it. Do not control the tempo of your breathing. Instead, just let your body do what it does best. You just have to sit back and watch it. If you have trouble watching it, then sit back and count it. 1 for in, and the same for out. Keep counting to 10, and then start again. After you get the hang of it, you can stop counting and just observe your breath. Once you can do the short sessions, then it's time to expand your abilities. The next step is to take the sessions from your couch to real life. You can apply mindfulness to everyday tasks, from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. If you can transplant the same practice from breathing to doing other things, you will find that you are able to do them more efficiently and more accurately. At this point, mindfulness will come naturally to you, and you will find out how much more you absorb at every waking moment of your life. You will also find that you do not even need to take notes in a meeting, because you will be able to remember them just by being mindful of those who you listen to. You will also find that you have the ability to remember names and faces. Your capacity would have a marked increase. Even once you are able to be mindful, you should still practice it on your own on a daily basis. Mindfulness is not meditation, even though it is used as a path to meditation, but it is a discipline of its own that you should use to sharpen other areas of your psyche and mind. Exercises in mindfulness. There are 3 exercises that you can use to develop and maintain your ability to be mindful. In the event that you graduate mindful training and get to the point of successful meditation, there will still be days you will need the extra help to be able to meditate. A day will come where you will not be able to meditate or be focused. That's when you will find these exercises to be helpful. Stage 1. Breathing. We covered this earlier, and it is usually enough to get you going. But here is another way you can use breathing to get more entrenched in being mindful. You can be anywhere for this. It doesn't matter if you are on a train or in a coffee shop. You can keep your eyes open or closed for this. That's up to you. First, begin inhaling deeply. Then pause, followed by a controlled release. Do this 3 times, and each time you do it, pay full attention to the point of your nose that meets the bridge just beneath your forehead. Imagine yourself looking at that spot. If your eyes were open, it would almost seem that you are cross-eyed. As you look at that spot and complete 3 sets of deep inhalation, return to normal breathing with your eyes closed. Count each breath up to 10. then start at 0 again. Count again up to 9, then return to 0. Count again up to 8, then back to 0. If you lose track, start all over again from 10. This should take you about 5 minutes, but each person is different, and you shouldn't hasten or retard your breathing to keep within this time. Relax and do it at your own pace. When you finish and you open your eyes, you will be amazed to find that your disposition changes, and eventually your position on things seems fresh. You will be tempted to take it all in, but try to apply your fresh state to the thing that requires your attention. Most successful entrepreneurs who do this get straight to work on areas that need their creative powers, or they do it before a workout. Stage 2. The next level that you can try is a lot less involved, but requires you to get an app for your smartphone. Or you could just set a recurrent alarm for every minute. In this exercise, have a bell chime at specific intervals. Personally, my phone chimes gently every 20 minutes. 20 minutes is my magic interval and seems to work well for me. I am sure that will change as time passes. 20 minutes has been my thing because it is my natural window of efficiency. Whatever I get done usually only takes 20 minutes. And at the point, I am making sure that my focus is refreshed and renewed for one of two things. In some cases, it is usually time for me to get to the task, or it's time to inhale and tighten up my mindfulness for the same task. I have found this to be invaluable in getting my efficiency up. A number of us who've practiced this have found that there is no correlation between our effective window, but one thing that has held to be true is that each person's is different. At the point the alarm chimes, close your eyes. Take 3 deep cleansing breaths. Once it's done, get back to what you need to be doing. Stage 3. This stage requires that you learn a new practice. This is the stage where you bring mindfulness to your entire life, not just every evening or every hour. This is to get you to convert your time to a full-on nature where you are not in one place while your feet stand somewhere else. You need to be in the same place your thoughts are. Planning the future is not considered going against this. Neither is evaluating the future of something you are considering. These are all willful directions of the mind. The point is that you are not thinking about something other than what you are doing. You do this by making sure that stage 1 and stage 2 are easily done. That takes time and practice. It takes diligence on your part to make sure that these things become habits. The ability to form a habit is useful, but that habit is not about doing things on autopilot. The habit is about reminding you what you need to do at a particular time. You start your day by reminding yourself that you will spend the entire day in a state of mindful focus. The focus part will come later. You tell yourself that this is your path to success, and it requires the least amount of effort, but has the most amount of bang. From that point, you stay mindful in everything, and you will be ruthless about it. Your path to meditation and mindfulness is not about making you tame like a rabbit. It's meant to make you as devastating as a lion. Nothing about this meditation and mindfulness is meant for you to mistakenly think that you are about to become meek and nice. It's not. You need to wake up that lion in you that will set your sights on one thing and get it. That's how successes are made. Every time you catch yourself drifting, get yourself back to where you need to be. Use the breathing exercise to do it. If you find that you are distracted, do a short workout to burn up the energy and get your circulation going. Then focus on that heavy breathing. As you feel the intensity grow, focus your calm onto that. It's a form of energized calm that you will learn to appreciate once it starts working for you. Chapter 6. Affirmations. To create a state of mind that allows you to move your body in the direction of your inspiration, you have to create the physical